Spirituality is the chicken, religion is the egg.
Mm.
There's no religion without spirituality.
And we can like take this to the spiritual side because I did watch a video on like laws of attraction and shit like that, and like for the people, because I feel like one thing I would say myself as like a viewer from the outside of spiritual shit, like when I think of spiritual, somebody being spiritual, like automatically I think of like Gazer, or I think of like the Matrix or something like that, you know. But like um, I've seen some stuff, I've read some stuff that showed me is much deeper than that, and like you can actually like, it's a way of life. Like you can actually like improve yourself as a man. So I would just
Right.
like
See, with
you
Illuminati
can.
being so, with Illuminati and spiritual soul and having being so big and having such a platform. See, even when I talk about spiritual things, I get into spiritual talk. People be like, "Oh, gazer, gazer." When I was spiritual before someone not even met Ash, which is the girl who made him, start to get into spirituality. But it's a double-edged sword, right? Because more people are talking about it and more people are aware of it. But now you have like it's almost to the point where spirituality is almost equal to conspiracy theories. Like if you say you're spiritual, it's almost as equal to saying you believe in conspiracy theories. Or if you say you're spiritual, it's almost equal to saying you do shrooms or you're into crystals or so a lot of people have spirituality completely misconceived. Yes, it put a spotlight on spirituality, but so many people have got it wrong.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, and
So
like I feel like this is a good opportunity for you. Like you can actually like define spiritual, like being spiritual, and like you can like maybe say like how to get into it, like a first few steps you can you could take. Cause like I've even like me, I've noticed, cause like I've heard about law of attraction, detachment, law of manifestation and shit like that, and it's like I feel like, bro, it's a way of life type shit, and like I feel like a lot of people do it in their head, but like they're just not aware of it to a point they can actually improve it. You feel me?
or control it.
Control it. That's a better word for it. Thank you. Yeah. So like you can
Hmm.
speak a little bit about it, so the new people can actually get into it a little bit. And one question I have before you get into that is, can you like be spiritual and religious at the same time?
And definitely, and
Definitely.
definitely, definitely,
Okay. Yeah. And
definitely,
like that's
and
that's another big misconception.
exactly,
Exactly. Like it's like when you think of spiritual, like you think about the Matrix and shit. You don't even believe God exists type shit. Uh, yeah, and it's like you
exactly.
can you can
Listen,
clear up a lot of the stuff.
spirituality is the chicken, religion is the egg.
Mm, okay.
Okay, there's no there's no religion without spirituality at all.
Yeah.
Now, not the spirituality you might open TikTok and see,
Mhm.
right? Not that, but true spirituality. And I'm gonna try to describe this in a way to where I don't be talking for the next 4 hours.
Yeah.
So
And it's like
I'm gonna hit these
keep in
points
mind
directly.
keep
Right.
in mind that like these are like new
First
niggas to
time.
spiritual. Yeah.
Yeah, all right, first time. I got a baby. I got baby step you out there. I
Baby
gotta
step.
walk you
Yeah,
out through
yeah,
this.
yeah. Facts,
Right.
facts, facts. Yeah.
Listen. Right. Regardless of what you were told, you might have read this book. You might have said, "Okay, I'm Christian. I read the Bible. I'm Muslim. I read the Quran. I'm Jewish. I read this, and I'm Buddhist. I read that." You gotta understand. I'm almost questioning how to take this to a level where I can just boom. Let's start with the first thing you said. Define spirituality in your own words. Spirituality to me is understanding your place in this universe.
Okay.
And if I'm already talking to somebody who is just like, okay, God is just the God of Earth, and you might think that without even knowing you think that, because as soon as I say universe, you might, well, this guy believes in the universe. It's God. It's like, so what do you think? God was just an Earth thing, or God is just like our humans as the humans thing? Like, oh, because Jesus died on the cross for our sins, and it's just like us human Earth thing. We're one planet amongst billions of planets in a universe that is ever expanding. You have to be. You can't be willingly ignorant. And I think religion does that to a lot of people when they were given religion and they didn't find religion. And that's why you can be spiritual and religious. Honestly, though, people who are spiritual and religious be the most strongest in their faith.
Yeah, and it's like I
Or
feel like
people
it's
who
easier to
are
be
religious
ignorant of it.
without people who are religious without spirituality are the ones who go atheists, or the ones who don't follow any of their religious rules, who go but don't even really believe. Because guess what? Spirituality is understanding your relation and connection and your place in the universe.
Yeah. And I feel
So
like
if I sit here, oh, go ahead, bro.
what you said about like ignoring it. I feel like this stuff gets so complicated, and like religion, spirituality, like it gets so complicated to a point like people choose to ignore it because it's simply
You don't want to think
easier.
about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's simply
I don't want to think
easier.
about God. Like I
That's
don't want to.
that's what I'm
And,
saying.
and and they'll guess what? They'll do that to avoid stress, but
Thank you
then
for the sub, gang.
become more stressed anyway. When you look at truly, genuinely spiritual people, I can quote multiple different religions. There's a certain sustenance you get from being truly spiritual. There's a certain and I think sustenance is the best word, but not everybody in here knows what sustenance is. So there's a certain, excuse me, there's a certain like confident freedom you have because of the amount of trust you have in things. Now, if we want to talk about Islam, can't remember what the exact word of it was, but a God consciousness, taqwa, I believe, right? Are you Muslim?
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not.
Oh, no. Oh, Ethiopia. So like y'all have heavy Christian over there, right?
Yeah, Christian Orthodox. Yeah.
Y'all have like a deep Christian like
Yeah,
history. I learned a
yeah,
lot about
yeah,
Ethiopia and like the y'all have like them churches that are underground,
yeah, yeah.
that are inside of like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
right, exactly. So listen, we can just keep going into it. Let me get straight to the definition of spirituality. And I said that it is understanding your connection in the universe. So when you take a religion, for example, when someone is spiritual within religion, they're 9 times out of 10 stronger for that religion because they understand everything they do, say, think, practice,
Yeah,
or interact with the world comes from their place and connection to the world. And when you understand your connection in the world, you connect deeper with God. And when people don't have a spiritual connection with themselves, with God directly through themselves, they can never be truly they can't even follow their religion authentically because it means nothing to them. It's just a practice. It's just tradition. It's just um habits or whatever. They're praying, but they're not actually praying. They're praying, but they have no connection. They're just reciting words.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So um let's go into what was the other thing you said?
Like, what are the first steps, like
Oh,
people
the
can
first
take
steps getting into it.
into the
Well,
spiritual?
okay, okay, that's a good question. Well, for me, I always been like thinking like this at a young age because I always been like mentally rebellious. So like I got into a lot of trouble as a kid. I never like following authority. I never like listening to authority. Always had a hard ass head and just a super inquisitive mind. So I remember being like literally like 8 or 9 years old, and my grandma used to read the Bible, and I used to ask questions, but I used to listen attentively. I used to ask questions, and I just knew I never really like I did the stories or whatever that she was reading didn't really click with me, but I didn't abandon the whole idea and concept of God. But the idea is that I didn't believe in God in the box of fear and reward, heaven or hell, good or bad, naughty or nice, yin and yang, duality sense. You know what I'm saying? Because the world is not just black and white. So as I'm being introduced to this, what really helps you get into spirituality is staying curious and open minded. What shuts people off from spirituality is closing their mind, taking what they were given, believing what they were told. And when you never believe that, that's where spirituality will take you down the rabbit hole you go because then you start asking questions, you start looking for answers, you're open-minded enough to where you can see consistencies in how interrelated and interdependent a lot of religions are, not just on a historical level. See, I don't even, that's the thing, even when I talk about my spirituality, I don't just talk in hooba hoo hooba gooba and look up to the sky. A lot of my spirituality stuff I talk about is spirituality and connecting to meditation. A lot of this stuff is science, comes from scientific articles. Spirituality and into meditation, fasting, whatever topic I'll go into, or even the history of the religions itself, or even the text of the religions themselves. I'm not an expert. I don't claim to be. I'm just a person who was open enough to learn, to look, to listen, and to understand the bigger picture of it. I think that also sometimes you can have a natural inclination towards spirituality or toward, and then every religion talks about this too. Like you have certain prophets in certain religion who are 40 years old. This guy might have been like this years old when he was, you know what I'm saying? So for everybody it's different. It's not, I don't believe it's something you could force because yeah, I don't believe it's something you could force. I think it's just something that you start curious about.
Yeah, and like one thing is like literally last year I wasn't religious at all. Like I had a lot of questions, and then I went to Ethiopia last summer. I feel like um, and then I feel like I that's when I really got more religious. And one thing I want to say about religious is like it's a belief. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like people try to argue which religion is right, or you know what I'm saying. It's like it's that's why people call it a belief. You believe in God. You don't know God. Like you don't you nobody can prove God is real. That's something you believe within yourself, and you're willing to put your money on it. You know what I'm saying? So and that's why I don't really like to talk much about religion, because somebody can disagree with me and I can't tell them nothing because they truly believe in it.
Right.
So
And a lot of times people have I'm gonna say this word, a barbaric conception of God. So I can catch that a lot of times when I talk to people about these kind of things. And one of the usually the most obvious and quickest, most common thing is they're like not believing in God, or they don't think of God because they were taught a God as a man in the clouds, or God as a man, God as a thing of above us, or hell is below us, and good and bad. And so already, if I'm even want to talk to them about these topics, we're not even meeting at an even understanding. Even if they question God, or even if they believe in God, their way of thinking or understanding God, um, like I said, we can go
yeah,
on and on.
yeah, it does get really complicated. And so about the spiritual stuff and stuff like that. Yeah, like I said, I did watch a video on the law of attraction, law of manifestation, detachment. I believe that's the title, right? Can
Mm,
you recall
yeah,
that video? Yeah,
yeah,
I did watch that, and I feel like it's really important, because what I think is just now I'm getting into it more. I'm not really, I wouldn't call myself spiritual, and I wouldn't speak about it because I simply don't know enough about it. You know what I'm saying? But like what I'm starting to notice is that, what's it called? Like I feel like everybody does follows the law of attraction in a way, follows the law of manifestation in a way, but they're not aware of it, so they can't up their game. You feel what I'm saying? The more they're aware of it, the better they can do it. The more they can control it, like you said. And it's yeah, that's somebody asked in chat if you're Muslim. Are you Muslim?
no, I just have Muslim family, I have Christian, and that's another thing that helped me like learn about these different things. I have a lot of family members of all different types of
Oh,
religions.
okay. Yeah,
So
me
I
as
was
well. Yeah,
never forced to be one or the other, but like
yeah,
I always was around it. Like I could just go steal my dad's Quran, his translation of the Quran, or stories of the prophets, or go get the Bible from my grandmom's this, or like just read these things. And then you got the internet, so I
yeah,
was always around different lots of different religions.
yeah. My dad's side is Muslim, and my mother's side is
Exactly,
Christian.
just like that.
Yeah,
I think another problem too is when we come into these topics and debates and things, uh, we're so used to putting a label on something, stamp it, and then the easy thing to do is just agree that this label means everything that we put on it. So if you know anything about like linguistics,
I do not.
yeah. So just look into linguistics. That's another good ass field as well, where it's like it studies like everything. I mean, somebody says that linguistics they can do anything. Like there was a linguistic study on civilizations that are like very remote, so they don't have like what we have, but not in a way where it's like kinda civilized, but not civil. But like they might have been generations of the same small ass group of people. They only eat one time a day. There's another linguistic study. Like this linguistics does everything. It
Okay.
can go into politics. It does everything.
Yeah.
But as I was saying that because it's just like the study of language, basically a study of like life and people and connections. There is much more to that. I'm just summarizing.
Yeah.
So, but one thing in the linguistics is like start learning how language is really more than what we think it is. So I say God. Let's say game. Game. Let's say game. I got a Spanish class, right? I took Spanish in college. So I'm in the Spanish class. There's a dude in my class who's a whole fucking anesthesiologist. He's like 50 some years old. He's an old guy. He's a doctor. He's coming back to undergrad to get his Spanish courses. So he can go overseas and, do medicine over there. So we're two different age groups. He grew up in the country. He had a father who grew up in I think he said Bronx or whatever, right? And he was like, yeah, my father had game. And what I learned from linguistics, though, before I spoke on what the game or got into the conversation, I said, "What does game mean to you?" That just shows the awareness of we could be using the same word, same topic, or using the same word and having two different topics, two different approaches or contexts in mind. So when he said it, game to him meant just being able to overtalk people and just being able to like be charismatic. Basically, his equivalence of game was like charisma, basically. And then I was like, well, game from where I'm from is being smooth with women, specifically women. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
but because of our two different age groups, when you understand like linguistics and stuff, you start understanding like how you could talk to somebody. Y'all could be from two different places, and you gotta learn to meet y'all on a language y'all both speak. Even by speaking English, you could still try to have to learn the way to communicate. This is all the types of shit that I just like think about inside, but
No, that's yeah, that's
it's
great though.
deep.
Yeah, it is
It's
deep.
deep.
It gets real deep.